So now that we know what is a user form, let us look at probably making a very preliminary user form to start with. So for doing that, let's go to our VB editor, and here we have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3 and this workbook. So we have gone through the nuances of what is project and properties, etc. What we had also looked at earlier was that through this insert button we can create a user form. Okay, so that's what we would be kind of interested in. So let me do that. I'll go to insert and a user form. So the moment I do this, do you see that this is what a user form would be like? Here please note that there is a flexibility of making this big or small, or you can customize the size or the height or the width. So there's a lot of customization capabilities kind of possible here. So I'll just keep the user form size to the minimal here just for demonstration purposes. Now once we click on the user form, you'll also note that the properties window actually opens up. As we had discussed earlier about the object which was pen and its associated properties, like pen could be in blue color, black color. Likewise we can have different ink options. There could be gel pen. So there can be a lot of properties associated with an object called pen. Now think of a user form in a similar way, and these are all the associated properties. First property can you think of would be something like a caption. Caption is nothing but what is displayed at the top. User form 1, this is just the display name. It has nothing to do with the coding name. The name which comes here is actually used for coding purposes. The name which comes in caption is just for the demonstration purposes, or the face of it. Okay, so let me write something here. Let's say we would like to create a name and age box. Okay, so the user form actually changes to name and age. Okay, now let's look at how this looks like in our worksheet. So the moment we do that in sheet 1, sheet 2 and sheet 3, where will we find this user form? So you remember we had earlier mentioned that this user form is basically an invisible layer. It is not visible in any of the sheets. So for the first time we have to kind of in fact, for the user form to be visible in any of the sheets, we have to activate it and call that user form from the backend. I'll teach you how it can be done. So say for example we want to see the user form in sheet 1. Okay, so I'll just double click on sheet 1, and what you'll notice that we get a line where we can write the codes. On the top, can you see this general? I want you to actually click here, and you will note that there is another option called worksheet. So I'll go and select worksheet, and the moment I do this, there is a code that comes here. However, I'm interested in the other set of options, which is basically the activate option. So what I really want is then when this worksheet gets activated, a user form should be displayed. Okay, so that's what I am really wanting to do. So as and when the worksheet gets activated, the user form should get displayed. So I'm interested in this code. I'm least interested in this code for the time being. Though there are other set of options like the user form double click, not the user form but the worksheet double click before right click, calculate. There can be other set of options, but in most cases you'll find you may be using this activate as such. Now let's take one step ahead and kind of see how we can call this user form. See, this user form is a different object, and this can be called across multiple sheets. So this is the user form which we created, and I'll just double click on sheet 1, and this is the sheet 1 worksheet underscore activate subroutine. So now I want to call this within this environment, and for this I'll write the name of the form. The name of the form is here. Okay, so I'll not use this caption name. This is just for user would see, but think about this as a technical name which can be used for coding. So I'll go back in sheet 1 and call this as a user form 1, because this is what the name is, and dot and what do I want to do is basically a show. So please remember this, it's kind of very easy. You want to show the user form when this worksheet gets activated, and you just need to press enter. That's it. Okay, so let's go back now in our worksheets and see if this form comes here. So I'll click on sheet 2 first, and I hope that when I click on sheet 1 the user form should get displayed. So as you can see here that now we are able to see the user form, right? So this is how you can actually activate these user forms within different worksheets. So as I was talking about the user form properties, let's go back and just look around what kind of properties are available within the user form. In order to kind of access the properties, just double click on this user form button here, and you will get the properties here. Now note that the other set of properties are something like back color. You can go ahead and change the back color. Maybe I may want yellow, and maybe you can see that there can be you can insert a picture here if you want to. You can have the font colors as different, font size as different, height, width, you can change it all. Let me change one more thing, which could be, let's say, something like startup position. Maybe I may want to have a central screen. So let's see what happens here when the central screen is being displayed. So I go back, go to sheet 2, and then when I click here, see, it is displayed in the center of the screen. So let me change the option again and see what is the difference between the other set of options. This was the center screen, the earlier one was the center owner. I just keep it as manual. So what happens in this case, sheet 2, when I click on sheet 1, it actually just keeps it at the top and we can change it. So you can play with these properties a lot, and it provides us with a lot of flexibilities, right? So let's move ahead and kind of look at other set of options within the user form. This user form comes along with this toolbox. So let's say if I am not seeing this toolbox, where will you retrieve this toolbox? You will see this toolbox when you click on view, and you can click here on toolbox. So this toolbox is essentially used for inserting a lot of text boxes or labels, or the layout which you see in the overall user form that can be inserted using the toolbox. So I'll give you an example here. Let's say there is a label, right? So this is the label which I see. Label is nothing but I would like to write something on this user form. So I can change the size. I can do a lot of things here, and as you can see, the moment I clicked here for the labels, you may note that the properties of labels are now visible. I can actually change the name, or I want to kind of change this to name, and I may want to increase the font size. So let's say I want to increase the font size to 12, and I may want to even bold it. So I can do that all. So let's see if this is being reflected in our worksheet. So how can you do that? You can just go back to book 1, click on sheet 2, and click on sheet 1 to see if these options are being reflected, right? So name 1 is coming here. Let's move forward, and please note that this is basically label 1, and you can have different number of labels, label 1, label 2, label 3. You can have 10 labels, you can have 20 labels, as many labels you want it to be. You can change the color, size, every property which is listed here. Okay, now another interesting thing is that we may want to take user inputs, right? So like what we saw in the earlier form, user was allowed to input the name and the email address. This is the place where you can actually incorporate that. This is done through the text box. So let me click here and again put this text box against this name. So I want the name to be inputted here. Okay, so let me go back in my book 1 and see what happens immediately. So you can see that the text box opens up. I can write the name and whatever I want to. Probably it is doing nothing, it's just writing the name. So this is what it could be like. Okay,